Hello, everybody. I'm Sandy. Oh, yay, we got some signs here. We've tried to put them over here. So, thank you all for coming. I try not to be too cheerful because, there's not a lot to be cheerful about. But you're here, and that's good. And of course, one of the reasons we're gathering here, besides to dispel, the lies, is to remind us that you are not alone in feeling maybe however you're feeling. I want to point out a couple things. You don't have to do this now. On the side table, if you RSVP, there are some clipboards, and they are organized by your first name alphabetically. Just check off that you're here, because we like to make sure you know that you're here. And then if you did not RSVP, that's fine, but just if you sign in and add your email, we will add you to our Groups IO list, which is our email distribution. Also, I have a little place where you can stick a Post-it and vent. I like to call it the Evil Elon board. Of course, there's many other things that are evil right now, too. Also, please help yourself to some cookies that I have not gotten to yet. I mean, I started, but I haven't finished them yet. There's also water. What else, Lori? Is it coffee? Yeah. There's some coffee. And before I forget, thank you, everyone, for your generosity for the rent for this facility. And so the little house is over there again. I also printed and laminated this time my QR code for Venmo. So if you prefer to do that, it's over there as well. But thank you so much. We actually got rent for 2 months last time, so that was really great. We are going to have 2 speakers. Hi, Lorena. And so I want to first get started. This is what we are going to do, but I don't see Cara and Tim. Are you here? Okay. And we can have it at the end. We are going to do a couple of quick updates if you have news to share on any of these other things. Then we have Lorena. Tell us how you say your last name, Lorena.
Melgarejo.
Right. Okay. And you are the executive, are you the executive director?
I am.
Nice. Okay. See, we get great speakers here. She is the director of Faith in Action, and she's going to tell us what that means. Then we have Lori Sheets. Are you here, Lori? Thank you. She's going to be talking about, should I say it out loud and not be hauled off somewhere as a terrorist? Diversity, equity, and inclusion presentation. We're also going to be asking for ideas and topics for our April and May meetings, and then we aren't going to go, oh, now what? We have a slide for that, okay? So, reminder about the donation box. When you're done, in the very back corner, we make stacks of chairs that are only 5 high. And, as I said, thanks for your generous donations in February. So, shall we start with who's got something, an update on a local issue that you might want to share?
Sandy, go to the next slide. We want to put a local protest.
Okay, so many of you here have been finding out about us because you might have been at one of the Tesla takedowns or the national park. What is that, a protest, Stephen?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and is that happening every Saturday also?
I'm going to keep going every Saturday at noon.
Noon, okay.
Quarry Point Road and Highway 1. I've got signs. People have been bringing their own signs. If you want me to print one of your digital signs, I have the printers. Let me know.
Okay.
Noon, Saturday.
Okay.
Until the park funding is actually restored.
And it hasn't been yet?
There's a court order, but who knows what that is.
Okay. And because it's not a place where there's park rangers, they wouldn't be going back to work there anyways. Okay, so that's, and then Anna, tell us about where'd you go? I know you're right here. Tell us about the other Tesla place where you went.
Okay. Sure. I was at the Tinfran Mall on Sunday afternoon with probably a bunch of you, and there were drums, and there was about 70 people, and it was, I think, 2 to 4 on Sunday.
Okay, and do you know if people have signs already, or do you need to bring your own?
Most people brought their own signs, but a few people had them, so if you just want to show off, I'm sure that's welcome.
Yeah.
So it's ongoing, just ongoing.
I don't know, I didn't realize it.
So if you're getting emails about like these meetings and things that are happening in your local area, I'm guessing that one will be on there as well. Because that was a new spot, right? The charging station, and maybe we're gonna find out where there's more charging stations that people will find to protest.
Tesla protest up at Tacoma.
Right, that's
Continues on Saturday.
yes. From 2 to is that from 2 to 3? 2 to 3, and the other one is also. And I noticed the pictures from the last week. There, people were on both sides of the road. Is that right? Looking good, looking good. And I don't know about you guys, but I mean, it feels good to just do something, right? And to be there with other people. So, okay. And then of course, so sad to see like down.
I'm just a citizen, but I have friends and we're always looking for where is the demonstration, and I don't know if the word is getting out. So maybe we could do, wherever we're doing it, wherever the signs are, or where the people are demonstrating, maybe a list so out there somehow, next, I hate to say back door, but somewhere.
So if you are signed up through Indivisible, then they send out at least weekly. I feel like I get them almost every day. But they send out an email that says what's happening in, they call it in your area. For me, my area seems to be even Oakland.
Sign up, what if you're just a citizen looking and you haven't signed up? That's what I'm saying.
Well, to get the email, you don't have to, you just need to sign up to,
Where do I sign?
on your computer or your phone, indivisible.org,
Okay,
and then it'll ask your zip code.
okay.
And then,
You get the info.
yep, yep, that's really the best way, because
Thank you for telling me.
it's changing all the time,
I know.
right? Adding more and more. Any other comments? Oh, wait, so you might find yourself in some of these. Yeah, you're famous. Kristen has been really good about sending them to, I believe it's NBC. Is it Channel 4?
That's
One.
Fox?
Pardon me?
Yes, it's Channel 4.
Yes, so, yeah, so that's been pretty good too. Gail, hi. Do you want the microphone?
What's the plan for April 5th?
We are, I believe, we have a slide for that, I think.
Yes.
It's coming up, so we can talk about that. Paige, did you have your hand up about something?
I just want to remind people, like, it's better to do a little bit word of mouth than to, like, completely write it down. Like, remember the first rule of Fight Club? I don't talk about Fight Club, but, like, we tell each other, but, like, we tell each other.
Yeah, and bring friends.
Yeah, and bring friends.
Yeah,
Because if we completely write it down and put it on Facebook and, like, finalize it, but, like, when we write it down because we tell each other, then that works better,
Yeah.
too.
I mean, you can definitely get the Mobilize. The email comes from mobilize.us, but definitely they're, well, I was at the science rally in San Francisco, and there was
It's every
a,
Saturday from 2 to 3, and then I've been there on Sundays, and it's a smaller group.
okay,
There's people there on Sundays too. Every weekend, there's people in front of that Tesla dealership.
yeah. At the science march in San Francisco, there was, I'm not sure what you call the guy. I'll call him a muckraker. A young guy that was strange. But it was, he started yelling stuff, and then instantly the peacekeepers were around him, and they just de-escalated. They just talked to him, and then he wasn't yelling anymore. It was really amazing. Suzanne, do you want the microphone? Okay.
Yeah, I have a member who is interested in learning the pretty simple level. But I also wanted to just say, I'm Suzanne Moore, I'm the editor of the Pacific Voice. Thank you for mentioning us last time. And I don't know if you have read articles in the Coastside News and the Pacific Voice about some of the 10 actions that are occurring. Pacifica House
Thank you. So that is Suzanne Moore, and she writes the newsletter for Pacifica Voice, which is Pacifica Progressives for All. Is that right?
Pacifica Progressive
Alliance. Okay. And we work kind of together. We send our information to her. They have a really big list as well. Okay. Now Hardy just told me to make sure to repeat the question, but was it Peter?
Do you want a quarry update?
Yes, please. Quarry update. Do you want the microphone?
Yes, because then the Zoom.
Okay. Sandy,
Because the Zoom people need to hear.
let me just do it quickly. Make me talk in the mic. Now I can hear you. The Zoomers can hear you.
The people on Zoom.
Yes.
Now hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand. Short version, the city council denied the landfill proposal for the quarry. The landowner appealed to the State Mining and Geology Board, and the State Mining and Geology Board denied the appeal, basically. So we don't know what's going to happen next. He could potentially sue the city, but given that the city council denied it and the State Mining Board did, it's not really a strong legal position.
Yeah.
Other people have been talking about can a land trust purchase the property? A person from Trust for Public Lands has looked at the site. There's a lot of issues to solve before that can happen. That's the question I get most often: is can the city buy the property? No, the city's broke, so that's not going to happen. People are working on what the potential acquisition of the property could happen, but you need a willing seller. Right now, I think the property owner is very angry. You're required to do some reclamation, and you need an entity to receive the land, to maintain it and be responsible for it. So there's a lot of hurdles to solve. That's the short version.
Thank you. And of course, even though it kind of could connect into Maury Point, kind of doubt that the Park Service is going to be adding any land onto their property right now. Okay, I have an update about Ocean Shore School. I know some of you are involved in that. This past Friday, the school district was given a chance to respond. There was like a compromise being offered that the legal task force for the Ocean Shore parents offered to drop the lawsuit if the school district would put a pause for 1 year on closing or merging the program, and they did not respond. So I think that means that the lawsuit is going forward. There's two parts to the lawsuit. One is an injunction to stop the merger, the co-location, and the other part is there are a whole list of violations that the district has not performed but done, and so that's going to be what happened. Now, if you are on the school district mailing list, you probably got an email from the superintendent saying that the Ocean Shore parents are very selfish and you're only thinking of yourself and your children, and just a whole bunch of lies. And so then now the Ocean Shore group has put out a list saying that nobody wanted this lawsuit, but a lot of things have been going unanswered or lies, and so that's where it stands right now. It's ugly. Let's put it that way. It's very ugly. If you are interested in letting the school district know that you're unhappy with their decisions and the way they're spending money, if you are 65, you have the option of exempting yourself from the property tax, by the way, that they just passed in November, and have them feel a little bit of the pressure. I did watch the board meeting the other night, and they said, when they were looking at their projections for revenue, they did mention, well, that's going to be a little less due to exemptions. A 65-year-old person always had the opportunity to exempt themselves from a parcel tax. So it's just that some of us are being very public about it, and then other people are telling me personally that I'm being very selfish. Like, I'm a retired educator. I know that these things are hurting the kids, but I also think that lying and spending money for lip service consultants is a waste of money as well. So I'll get off my soapbox. Talk to me personally if you need to know how to do that. Anything else? Yes.
I can give an update on the City of Pacifica's climate action and
Oh,
adaptation
great.
plan.
Yes.
I didn't realize we have community updates, so I'm not prepared, but I'll do my best.
Do your best. Yeah.
My name is Kimberly Finale. I am on the City of Pacifica's Climate and Adaptation Plan Task Force. We have been at work for the past 18 months and have a draft plan available for the public review and comment. The public comment, I'm trying to get into my phone here.
I thought the period ended.
It did end.
Okay.
That's what I was just about to say. It ended on March 16th. However, let's see, I'll just read what we've got here. This came out in Pacifica's Connect from the city manager last Friday. After nearly a year and a half of research, collaboration, and planning, the draft Climate Action and Adaptation Plan is now ready for public review. The public comment period is open until March 16th, 2025. We invite you to take a look at the draft and share your thoughts with us at www.planpacifica.org/CAAP, C-A-A-P. Your input is vital in refining the plan and making sure it reflects the needs and priorities of our community. I am on the Community Outreach and Education Subcommittee. Our team has been at every major event in Pacifica throughout the past 18 months. We've had a blast doing it, and we're still meeting. So even though the public comment is officially over, we still meet on the third Tuesdays of every month, which is why I haven't been here. Tonight's meeting was actually postponed until next Thursday. All are welcome to attend. So even though the official public comment period is over, we welcome the public to come and join us. We always have public comment available and open at our meetings. We have a really good time and a really smart group of people, and we do hope to hear from the citizens of Pacifica before the final draft is adopted. We're thinking in May.
And how long have you guys been working on this plan?
18 months. We updated a plan from 2014 that sat on a shelf collecting dust for the past 10 years. As you know, funding and regulations are drastically going to be clawed back, and we need as much individual participation as humanly possible. And so we are hoping to get our community to rally together and create a movement of climate action. And it starts right here with us, and we're ready to do it. We'll continue doing community engagement. We'll continue to be at public events with the draft plan, open to talking to people, still just taking ideas where we, the task force will be has recommended to the city council that an implementation team and a community, what is it, Gail? An environmental commission or committee be established to carry out implementation of the plan. So we do hope that there are people in the community who are interested, and also who will go to city council meetings and encourage our city council to not only adopt our plan, but to approve this environmental commission to go ahead and implement the plan. It is our opinion that it doesn't take a lot of money to implement care of our environment. It takes individual participation, which creates a community of participation. And so we just want to keep it alive, and we just hope that this environmental commission, with a staff member from the city of Pacifica, we're also recommending that. Of course, we've had some pushback already. I won't go into details, but anyone who wants to talk to me about that, feel free to anytime. We're really going to need the community to rally behind this climate action plan. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
The meetings are right next door.
Yeah.
Last month, we could see you.
I was like, what are you doing over there?
All right. I was going to mention one other thing. I was saying to Gloria that I read, I think it might have been in Coastside News this morning, maybe Suzanne, you know too, but this was housing in Half Moon Bay, that there's I think it's on Stone Pine Road, it's a community of manufactured homes, and they are going to be made available for the farm workers to purchase. The application process just opened yesterday, I believe, and it's open for maybe a month. And there are certain requirements, but for instance, it's a 0% interest rate, a 0% down payment. Some of the qualifications are, how much you earn. You own the manufactured home, but you still have to rent the space. And so, anyways, they were saying that the people that get priority are the people that were displaced from the farm workers shootings. And, it's been 2 years. And then there's other priority lists as well. And then, of course, I think they can help you with bank stuff if you're in that position. Anyways, I think that's good news. I'm surprised. I wasn't paying attention perhaps, but maybe there was no people resisting like they are for the building on Kelly, which I don't think has even started yet because people are still complaining. They don't want that in their backyard. Anyways, okay, so any other updates? All right, then we will continue with Lorena.
Oh, great.
So when you hold it kind of close. You have it Eric next.
Thank you.
And the camera is right there. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you guys. I think that some of you were here in 2017 when we did the rapid responders training in the same location. I'm curious, who was here in 2017 when I remember you guys. Yeah. So here we are again. Again, a little bit about what we've been creating, and it's not new. That's something beautiful. We're kind of going in cycles. But in 2016, when Trump got elected for the first time, there was a great sense of fear and grief in the immigrant community, as you can imagine. And the day right after the election, we had maybe a couple hundred, 250 or so undocumented families that gathered both in San Francisco and Redwood City. We had 2 different gatherings just to give space for the grief, you can't just do it alone. We know that fear and all the dark things breed in isolation. So at Faith in Action Bay Area, like you, we do organizing. And organizing is about connections. So we created this space just so that we could actually be afraid together. And we could cry together, and we can bring the kids that were also afraid. And after that, as any of you were organizers, we cannot stay in that place. Then we did a purposeful space that after that we're like, so where do we draw strength from? So we got people to connect to where and when you think about strength, first you think about anger or what you don't like, but at the end, you have to connect back to what you love. And that's where we landed. People named their families, they named their children, they named God, whatever drove them to keep going in spite of everything that's stacked up against them. And after people connected to the strength, they could actually bloom, right? Like that's when the flowers come and imagination can be invited into that space. And we asked, so what now? What are we gonna do? We were imagining, kind of like now, that there will be troops marching down, grabbing people. You never know what they're gonna do. But that was the fear. So what are we gonna do? How are we gonna protect the grandmas? How are we gonna protect the children? What are we gonna do for each other? And that's when the idea of the hotline came about. Yeah, I can just do this. So that's where the idea of the hotline now is like, people are like, oh, rapid response hotline. It's nothing fancy. It's like what we do to take care of each other anywhere. You do it with your family, you do it with your neighbors, you do it here. But the imagination was like, well, some of us, me myself, I had the experience of my father being in deportation back in 2008 when, no, 9, whatever, long time ago. It was at the same time that I had a baby, like little one. Now he's big, and he's like whatever. But he was little and cute, and this is my arms. And my husband had terminal cancer. He was in the midst of going through it, and he still have a couple years in him, but we were in all kinds of things going on. And so I have this husband who's dying, and then this baby who's living, and then immigration gets my dad, my old man, right? And I've been organizing in the Bay since 1999. I started in labor, then I've been in Faith in Action since 2005. So I know people like you, right? Like we know each other after years and years. I organized around the country. And still, even though that was a reality, I felt isolated. I felt scared. It's expensive. You don't know what you're gonna do. And there's some shame associated with it. And shame does funny things to us. Like we don't show up as our full selves when we are taken over, we become our shame. And it cost so much money. It was like, oh my God, who's gonna represent my father in this? And at the same time, I'm at Kaiser and I have to do chemo, and the baby wants to breastfeed, and I'm like, I'm leaving. Forget you guys. But my experience through all this personally was that because of the work that we do of weaving community, when I needed it, community showed up for me. And I did not have to be alone. People helped me out. My father is here. He lives in Virginia because he wants to. He lives in Virginia by himself with a dog and a cat. He could live with me, but independent. But he's still here, and my husband is part of the universe now, and my baby is like, whatever, I'm 16. Which is beautiful, that's what we want. So we had a lot of people just like me that went through this experience. We're like, what would it have been like if when immigration came to our door and took our family member, there was a number that we could call, and then people could surround us with love, support, and a lawyer that was free, right? Like that's always nice. And we were kind of dreaming, that's what we created. And it came out of that idea, kind of first it was like, oh, we can have a phone and we just pass it around. And then we talked to some attorneys from Pangea Legal Services that were friends. This is before the counties wanted to give money. I'm talking about, it was like the day after the election in 2016. We're just being creative. And they were like, oh, that's a great idea. We're gonna be the attorneys for free for this one. And we built this, like, it was called the Immigrant Liberation Movement or something. We did it. And then this idea of the Rapid Response Network became a real idea that we put together. and I actually got the opportunity to teach 40 cities around the country around this model, which is you have a line that is connected to legal services, and people can call it when there is a detention. It's pretty simple. It's expensive, but if you're gonna pay for it, but it is like a basic thing. And then there are different flavors, right? Like what we created here in San Mateo County when we started it, the training we did here was to have responders and verifiers. So people who are citizens and are at less risk can actually go and respond and see what's going on. Is this ice or the ice cream truck? And it's funny, but it's not, right? Like, did you guys hear about all the rumors? I don't know what it was like in Pacifica, but a lot of, during the first 4 or 5 weeks after Trump got elected, no, got instituted, ¿cómo se dice eso? He got in office, there was so many rumors. Like, San Mateo was like frozen. Immigrants were not going to work, people were not sending their kids to school, it was like madness. And there was, we were not ready yet to like be in every corner to verify. Now we have 150 people who are citizens, just like me too, I'm a citizen too, like us, who are in every neighborhood, and when there is a rumor or something might be happening, people can go check it out. And like, we can have eyes on the ground, right? Like basic organizing 101, you have to have eyes on the ground before you make a plan. So we're able to do that. So it was, we thought this model around the country. Now, in California, every single county has a rapid response hotline. It's a blessing. There are people all over in different states. We have it. Some have more money. San Mateo has less. People have the Cadillac. We have the Honda Civic. But if you ever own a Honda Civic, those things run, and they don't go bad on you. So it works. So ours has been running, our Honda Civic has been running since 2017. It was the first one in the nation. We can be proud of that, right? And it's owned by all of us, because it was in rooms like this that we created the responders, and we fundraised. The county did not fund any of it until the end of 2018. I think, I know Gloria and Ellen, you were very involved. Remember, we were trying to get money for attorneys. It took us a couple of rounds to try to get funding, but they did. And so it's a good thing that we have it. It's a pretty simple model. I explained it now in this iteration that there's actually the county supporting it. You might have seen it all over the place in the website. We have attorneys, we have the county as part of it. And the main goal is that when somebody is detained, we have a rapid response that is a community and legal response. But we're also doing a billion things, because people are calling because they haven't filed their asylum. They have the family whose person got detained has a problem because they're also undocumented. What if they come back? The neighbors are scared. So we're sort of feeling that out, and the attorneys have been amazing. They're responding to this work, but it's a pretty simple, again, it's a simple thing. And the community support part is where most of us come into play. I'm a dispatcher. I'm a person that answers the line. We answer it 24/7, 365 days a week. We have 3 people on call all the time, and is 3 of us who have been doing this for a long time. So people that call, again, somebody that's like, if we don't know it, okay, we will ask the attorney. But most of these things we can kind of field out and figure out who to connect people to. And that's been good because it's 8 years of doing it. Right now we're getting 50 to 150 calls a day, so it's a little more intense. But it's okay, it goes like this. Depending on what's happening out, then it happens here. And there are a couple new pieces that we're incorporating based on the fact that this is round 2 and it's more intense. So the verification, we are revamping it. We had about 600 people 2017 to 2020 that had been active but then we didn't use it anymore because it wasn't the same. We didn't need it. And now, instead of just saying, oh, those people are ready to do it again, that's a lie, right? Like that's a dead list. Anybody who's an organizer knows if you don't use your list for a month, your list is dead. So we had to kind of start it again. And in the last 6 weeks, about 500 folks have signed up. We have trained folks to do this, and we're training every other week, tons of people. So it's great. Like, citizens have some different things to do. And then the accompaniment is another thing that we're training people to do who are citizens, so people can go to the ICE check-ins. If you're interested, you can come to a training. There's a different, it's quick. It's not rocket science. It's what, you know who Ella Baker is from SNCC? So Ella Baker always talked about spade work. And spade work, like it's not the glamorous thing of being in front of thousands of people and giving speeches, or it's the everyday thing that you do. And it requires people like us to just kind of make sure the land is ready for when things need to grow. And when you accompany somebody to court or to an ICE check-in or you respond, it's not only good for them, it's definitely good for them. They need that. They need that witness that can find a plan B if they're about to be deported, and to call the family, the school teachers, whoever is the contact. But it's also good for us. So spade work is for the ground in the community, but it's also within yourself, because we're able to see an experience that wasn't our own. Like, naturally might not be the experience. I came from Paraguay with a visa, and that's a privilege. That's an economic privilege my family has that many people who had to cross over don't. I never had to check in ICE every 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and have to go through that. It was through accompanying people that I understand the fear every single time, the waiting, the humiliation, and the difference that it makes just to accompany somebody. It's like, I don't know you, you don't know me, but we're siblings. And that changes the world. That is the little, this is sort of what the rapid response accompaniment, the verification, the advocacy. If you like this, and you think it's a good idea to have it for vulnerable people, then I encourage you, write your supervisor, say thank you, do more. But thank you for funding immigration deportation defense, and this is really important, because if people who are immigrants are the ones advocating for themselves, it doesn't have a lot of power. But when people, all of us from different walks of life, say today is for them, tomorrow we're going to advocate to make sure the people that need, that depend on Medicaid are not going to be left without services, and we're going to have to figure out the state and the county has to make up the difference. And we're here for disabled kids. We're here for the kids who are trans, who are LGBT. So we have to advocate for one another. So that's the other piece. We're gonna be uniting around that. And the brand new thing is mutual aid, and I'll talk more about that. It's not rocket science. What have we seen? We have not seen raids, like what you imagine, that comes immigration, they grab her and her and her. They're not doing that. They're doing targeted enforcement operations, which means they're going for a particular person, they're waiting for them outside of their home, they grab them, they take them. And they use a criminalization narrative around, oh, we're taking out the bad apples, the criminals. I have my opinions about that, but I will tell you it's not accurate. And the attorneys will tell you that, yeah, it can be construed like that, but it's not actually real. What is for certain is that most of the time is men, and most of the time is somebody that's leaving behind a mother of young children, and they were the breadwinner. So that's what's happening. They're not doing raids, they're taking maybe a couple people a week, little bit Depends on the week, but maybe 2-3 people a week. And so they are here. They are in San Mateo and they're looking for people. And then people are getting detained at ICE when they have to go to the ICE check-in. Last Monday I had in 20 years of accompanying people, is the first time that the people didn't come out. And it was a mom with 2 kids, 2 little ones. And the next day they were back in their home country. It was quick, we didn't even have time. The attorney came after 15 minutes to talk to them, but it didn't give enough time to even like appeal, to do nothing. They deported them super fast. And the mom came with, they didn't come out. The babies were like, the kids were in their pajamas, they were upset because they had to be there at 7. And then they were flown to Louisiana, and then they were flown to Central America the next. It's just quick. So that's basically what we've seen in this past, 7 weeks or whatever. What we have built is this, we got about 30 more now, because this is from last March 6th, whenever that was. So we have more now, but about 3,200 people who are immigrants, just through Faith in Action, just us, have participated in like Know Your Rights and rapid response at schools, community centers, churches. So people come and we're talking to one another, we're preparing. That's sort of like the immigrants. That's a lot of people in like 5 weeks, right? It's pretty awesome. Then 550 or more people now have signed up to be verifiers. Those are citizens from across the county. We've received about 1,400 calls. Sometimes it was 150, sometimes it was 30. But it's like about 1,400 calls. It's a lot of calls. But it's good. We want people to call if they're afraid of something, if they have a question. We had a lot of teachers calling. My students are not here. What is going on? Lots of teachers, lots of social workers, which then we make connections to do these presentations at their school. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the educators and the doctors, the pediatricians. You'd be surprised. This died on me. I can talk really loud. Sometimes I'm shy. Then there was about 40. This is new for me. This online organizing, Instagram. But we have some young people now that work. Gloria knows that works for us, and they're like, yeah, people look at information there. Great, do it. So about 44,000 people have joined the group or something, and they look at what the things that we put in. We put out communication about once a day or every 2 days, telling people what has happened, so that if there were rumors or if there are news. So a lot of people are getting this information. Apparently that's the thing. And then those posters, the yellow poster, I brought some. I hope you guys take some for Pacifica. We put a bunch out there, in 5 weeks. So that's good. It's spreading the news. The components, it's not rocket science. The communities, without the community, this is junk, right? If nobody calls you, if nobody trusts it, it doesn't exist. So we want people to trust it. You have the hotline 24/7 every day. And then we have attorneys on call also 24/7 every day of the year. Then the verification, that's the citizens that are verifying rumors. The mutual aid is very important. This is new. So a lot of the people who are being taken are breadwinners, which means in our area, rent is a little expensive. Woo! Is that my phone? Something is going on. But anyway, so when a breadwinner is taken away from their family, what we have seen is that within 2-3 weeks, the family is about to be homeless. And in the past, we had done fundraisers for this family, fundraiser for that family. We said, forget that. From here on out, since 2025, anybody whose breadwinner is taken will sustain them for 4 months with rent and up to $1,500 a month for expenses. It's not a lot, but it's something. We cannot control what's happening, change it whether we agree or it doesn't matter. But we do care about people not ending up in the street. we want the family to at least have room to breathe. And again, in my own experience, when my husband was dying of cancer for the last 6 months, my community surrounded me. They paid my rent, and they brought me food. Had meals every day. My rent was paid. Cancer continued to eat away at the body of Eric, my husband, but I could be there. I could be there in the grief. I could be there present. I could feel it, and he could be with me, because the rent was paid. If the rent was not paid, I had to make a choice between being with him and leaving my baby somewhere and going to work, because I knew a future had to be had, because that baby was going to be the 16-year-old or whatever. Whatever, Mom. I love him. He's actually awesome. And he's so cute. But anyways, this is the same concept. We cannot control, we can have opinions about, oh, criminal, not criminal. I don't care. But the children don't deserve to be in the street. We can control that. And we can stabilize. I'm just coming back, that's why I was a little late, coming back from a mom's house she's about in her 70s. Her son was the person detained. And, I talked to her, she told me and I went to, what a privilege, I feel like a rich person. what is that like? Now I know. I went and I could sit with her, she showed me her flowers, she cried, we cried together, and I could give her some money for rent and to pay the landlord that now charges for trash, and she told me about this, look what they haven't fixed. And I spent a whole hour with her, and I've been talking to her on the phone. But I told her, for the next 4 months, we can do this. And she was like, I can't believe this. And I was like, yeah, this is community. And she's like, oh, thank you, this is great. And then she introduced me to all the neighbors and the children, and it was wonderful. And I explained that people are donating into this fund so that we can do this. That's pretty cool. Like, there's a lot of things that we can do together. So I think this is new. We've never done it as a general statement. We might be crazy. If they take like 10 people, I don't know what's gonna happen, but right now, this is what we're gonna do. And organizers, all of you, we are responsible for each other. And I explained this, what happens, people call the hotline anytime, they say they just took my son, we do an intake, and then we send that immediately to the attorney that's on call, and they go to ICE, which is in San Francisco, the processing center, and they talk to them in person, and they see if there's some remedy. There could be, there could not be, but we know, and it's for free. It's a big deal. Normally, that goes about $1,500 in the market. And actually, representing a detained person goes from 20 to 40,000. It's insane. Like, why didn't I go to law school? But yeah, for real. But anyways, the idea is that we want people to call us right away, because after 3 p.m. they're transferring people out and far. Sometimes it's in California, sometimes it's in Chile. So the sooner, the better. So they can have this one-on-one representation meeting with them. The new thing that ICE is doing is they're working on Sundays, like me. But they're working on Sundays, and their office, the processing center, is closed to the public and to the attorneys. So this Sunday they detain somebody, and by the next day they're already in detention center. So it's a little bit of, it's like capoeira or jiu-jitsu. They move, we move. Right now there are no raids. They're doing targeted enforcement. Doing what we're doing is a response to these types of tactics. There might be a moment that those change, so we can change as well to adjust as a community. But we're building connections with each other. We're taking care of families. It's basic human kindness. Whether you agree with the position of the government or not, be hard to say like, yeah, leave the kids in the street, leave the family starving. Something must happen to you if you think that. And I mean, we should help you too. But Bless your heart, but anyway, so the kinds of support that people can do, definitely the verification. People are interested. I have sign-in sheets. People can kind of point out if something is of interest for you. We can talk more. The visibility is just basic. I brought posters I brought some of the yellow cards. Put them everywhere. So it's both like visibility for people that need it, but it's also a message about who we are. And for everyone, both for people who are vulnerable and people who aren't. It's like we take care of one another. We don't need to argue about that. And then if people wanna donate to the fund, important. I don't know if I'm a sucker when I see those like, oh, the children somewhere else, and you're like, I will give money, but then I don't know what's happening to the money. The money, 100% of the money that goes there goes for the families. Right now, our board, and both of you have been in our board, members of our board, so the current board approved for us to use our reserves to cover the sustaining families. We have now 5 that we're sustaining. Do the math, it's about like 3,000 to 5,000 per month per family. So it's a bunch of money. But like, it's the best thing you can do with money. It will come. We'll figure it out. But that's another thing that folks can do. And if people are interested in doing accompaniment, that's a little bit of more of a commitment. But it's the most beautiful commitment you can make, in my opinion, around this issue. You can let us know in that, and we'll share when we have. I have a training. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Yeah. No. Yes. Tomorrow night we're having one. I had a training last week, and then we're training another group of people tomorrow. So there are people coming through, and it's beautiful. The one that we're gonna have tomorrow is in the city, but we're gonna be training every so often. We could do it on. For the accompaniment, we want to do it in person, because that's the most intimate work that you will do with people who are in crisis. So we want to make sure people are really ready. Not because it's hard to do the thing that you're gonna do. The hard part is the presence and what people actually need. So we want to make sure people are ready to do that and not be weird, right? Like nobody needs that. So those are the things that we're sharing. They're in English and Spanish. But in the next, so by the end of this week, we will be able to answer and have a translation program so that we can do, let me see if I get Tongan, Portuguese, Arabic, Chinese, and Tagalog, which is pretty tight, right? Like, and we're gonna translate these things because in northern San Mateo, all this area, we have a lot of Portuguese, Arabic. More in the south, we have some Tongan, Chinese all over, and the city is practically like, you know, it's Little Manila. It's awesome. I organize there. I love that place. But when you're in crisis, you want to speak in your own language. Even if we can figure, I can speak Portuguese a little bit, but not enough to actually talk to somebody that's in crisis. I might not understand them. So we'll have an interpreter. And the attorneys always have an interpretation service too. So right now, Spanish and English. Next week, so many languages. So it's good. We'll be like accounting. So that's that. Thank you. It's all organized. And right now it's about this. What we build, we can continue to use as a community to see what happens to us.
How
Yes.
do you, I don't know if your group does this, but I'm sorry if anyone does it where they try to, you know, like Trump and all that, like, immigrants are evil and they're murderers and rapists. So I guess that.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the question?
You know, that perception.
Yeah. How do we deal with the perception of the dehumanizing perception that people have of immigrants? This is the oldest trick in the book. In order to make a society do the unthinkable to a people, and because you want to scapegoat them, and then you have to dehumanize them first. You have to make them guilty of something, as if somehow by being guilty of something, even if all those things are true, nobody loses their humanity. But that's things that we're forgetting. But I'll tell you, we're also remembering. I think that this time around I'm seeing more support coming out of the woodwork. And so that narrative is there, and they use it on all of us. And different parts of ourselves have been dehumanized so that they won't see us as full people. It's always been. So that exists. What's beautiful is what we're creating. Like, we have to feed the part that we want to grow. And I think if we feed love, people don't talk about love because love is cheesy, but it's not. It's actually powerful. And what you guys are building here, I mean, you talked about the schools, the good environment, Tesla. That's why I say Honda Civic and Cadillac. Notice. I'm not an idiot. But this is where we win. They think they win, but I'll tell you, people continue to remain people, and that's how we have survived for 500 years now, since colonization. So we just have to keep on feeding it, and you guys are doing it. Thank you.
All right. Glad I don't have to follow that up. Lori.
I'm gonna put this in the bag for you guys, but I'm gonna stay.
Okay.
So in the end, you can grab Dory's sign up.
So first, before she starts, I just want to mention that Lori you've been a member of our group, right?
Yes.
And you offered to talk about this. So anybody else that has a topic that maybe you feel passionately about, you're very involved in it, like Suzanne has been talking about, we welcome that too. So.
All right. Do you want me to stay here?
I can do it. Thank you, and I just have to say thank you again for the presentation that we just watched. We've just participated in. I feel like that's better. It just reminds us of how strong we all are, and I hope that I can kind of weave some of that into what I'm going to talk about. Yes, my name is Lori, and yes, it's spelled the same way as the better known Lori, but I'm Lori S. as opposed to Lori E. If you do happen to have questions while I'm talking, I'm very happy to be interrupted. That works for me. Okay, you can see that. I'm going to start off just by talking about some things. Well, this research I did, and I have to say I didn't realize how many of you there would be here tonight, so I'm a little bit nervous. USA Today, talking about Trump's inauguration. Just hours after he took the oath of office on January 20th, Trump began issuing executive orders to dismantle programs, put pressure on federal contractors, and to end, quote, illegal DEI discrimination, end quote, and direct federal agencies to draw up lists of private companies that could be investigated for their DEI policies. And in his address to the joint session, which I think was on March 4th, he said, "We have ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military, and our country will be woke no longer." Okay, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Any questions? I know, bad joke. So what I would like to know is how many of you have participated in a DEI training, initiatives, any of that? Yeah, it looks like, yeah, quite a few of you. So this is a very well-known topic, and I really hope that I'm able to provide you a little bit more information that you didn't know before you were here tonight. So we'll find out. So how did DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion? I was talking to a friend of mine on Sunday about this, and he said, Lori, use your words. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, don't use DEI. That's just become like, you know, this boogeyman that's out there. Use the words diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I will try to do that. I'm not sure I will do that the whole time. It emerged in connection with affirmative action. And affirmative action was first talked about in government by, through an executive order by President Kennedy in 1961. A lot of you probably already know this. And it was Executive Order 10925, in case anyone cares. And it required government contractors to take affirmative action to ensure that applicants are employed and that employees are treated during employment without regard to their race, creed, color, or national origin. This executive order also set up the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which I had never heard of before. And it requires taking affirmative action. So one of the first things to know is that affirmative action is actually a legal requirement, whereas diversity, equity, and inclusion is much more about culture change, changing the environment to be more welcoming to a broad, diverse community. So we had that executive order in 1961. We had the Civil Rights Act landmark in 1964. Richard Nixon actually had the Rehabilitation Act, which was a precursor to the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that was in the 70s. And then the first Bush had the American with Disabilities Act in 1990. And basically what I found is that all of the presidents until 2016 supported and or expanded affirmative action. And that kind of surprised me, I have to say. And then, of course, 2016 happened and our worlds changed. So, what are some things that have happened because of diversity, equity, and inclusion? Well, there's quite a bit. Access for people with mobility issues, so ramps and sidewalk curb cuts. Flexible work arrangements, accommodations for disabilities, equal pay, not having to accept workplace harassment. I mean, there's any number of things that you know, I just kind of take for granted that, well, of course, this is what we get. But there's a lot of work that went into having these put into place. So don't doubt that. And what I also found out in my research is that organizations that have really embraced diversity, equity, and inclusion, there's a lot of statistics that really tell you that those organizations do better in business. You probably can't see that, so I'll give you, this is from a group called the Diversity Movement. So for profitability and productivity, they found that, I'm not going to read all of them, a 1% increase in racial diversity in management increases annual productivity by $730 per employee. Diverse teams have a 19% higher innovation revenue. They are in broader markets. There's all kinds of statistics that tell us that diversity education is really good. And, you know, I worked in the county health department for a long time, very diverse, and there were cultural misunderstandings. And that's what this is all about, you know, so that people can understand each other and feel like they belong. So diversity, equity, and inclusion, a lot of times they are adding a new letter, the letter B, for belonging. so that it's not just like, there's that extra community feel there by adding the belonging. And of course, there was a backlash from the very beginning. Many Supreme Court cases, until very recently, there's been no law around diversity, equity, and inclusion. The laws that have come about, however, are the backlash. They're anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion. So here in California, we've seen a lot of the backlash. Anybody remember 1996, Prop 209? It banned affirmative action in the public sector, employment, and education and contracting. And I didn't remember this, that it allowed gender discrimination where, quote, reasonably necessary. Other states followed suit with similar prohibitions. And of course, 2023, the Supreme Court ruling abolished affirmative action in higher education. But then there's the rest of us, the police killings. I'll just start with the notable one. 2014, Michael Brown was killed. 2020, that was an uprising, is what I would call it, when George Floyd was killed, and we all were. It was just horrifying. And that's when the word woke started coming into our vocabulary as well. And even though both DEI and woke are now the catch-all reasons that everything has gone wrong according to MAGA, I was going to get a t-shirt made that said woke pride, but I didn't get around to it, unfortunately. So even though the first Trump administration vilified DEI, this is full court press that's happening right now. It's kind of ridiculous. And look at all of the large corporations that are they were just so eager to hop on board this anti-DEI push. So what they're doing now is saying meritocracy. It's all about meritocracy. But, and let's see if this is the next slide. Yeah, that's what DEI really is about. It is expanding the available workforce, the available pool of people that are available to you so that you can select the best one. That's what it's always been about. And, of course, one of the biggest complaints about it is reverse discrimination, where they say it's not a level playing field now, now it's against white people. So when you look at statistics, it doesn't bear out in statistics. If you think that somebody like the Trump administration is meritocracy, we all know that's ridiculous. Pete Hegseth. It's it's hard to, we could all go down the list there. So the other thing that happened as I was doing this research is I unfortunately had to read I didn't have to, but I did read a lot of anti-DEI things that are pretty horrifying. And I'm only going to subject you to one. So these conservative groups say, nope, that's not true. And I hope you all can read that. Oh, okay. It says, DEI initiative, this is Calvin and Hobbes, were not put in place to ensure lower qualified minorities could get hired instead of more highly qualified white people. It was put in place to ensure lower qualified white people were not hired instead of more highly qualified minorities. So, you can count on Calvin and Hobbes to just settle it, just one panel there. where I wanted to go with this. Okay, so the Heritage Foundation, I'm going to read you a quote from a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, just so you know, you can hear, because I avoid it personally, except for doing the research for this, hear what they are saying to each other. It says, diversity, equity, and inclusion postulates that American society is systemically racist, oppressive, animated by white supremacy, or any of many other ills attributed to America, its founding, and its culture. Mike Gonzalez is this gentleman's name. DEI does not promote diversity, etc., to which few people would object. It seeks to dismantle our entire society and recast it. Well, there is some truth to that. I would love to see that happen. But that is just an amazing, I thought that was just an amazing quote. I could probably ask each one of you, you'd be able to tell me something from the news that is some egregious thing that the administration has cut out of websites or wherever, policies, etc. Everybody knows about that they deleted mention of the Enola Gay. Yeah. I know, isn't that amazing? The pages telling the story of the Navajo code talkers and their importance in World War II. They got rid of that. Pages of accomplishments by women and non-white astronauts from the NASA web pages. And I saw it was on MSNBC that it's either the National Institute of Health or the CDC. If you submit a grant application that uses the word women, they will reject it. So.
Also, even words like bias.
Really?
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
There's a whole list of words that you have to take out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's true. So why should we? Why would I be surprised?
Also, didn't they take a lot out of Arlington National Cemetery?
Oh, that's right. They did. They did.
Sorry, what was that?
They took the women and
People of color.
They took, what did they do?
Arlington National Cemetery, on their website, they had
Oh, right.
some spotlighted people who have made great contributions that are.
Colin Powell.
Yeah.
Seriously? Colin Powell?
Yeah.
Scrub.
Yeah, Scrubs.
Stonewall National Monument, which is a National Park Service site, which is devoted to gay rights.
Right.
They took away all the trans participants that led the gay rights movement at Stonewall.
Right. They were the ones that started it all. Yes, sir.
Yes.
At Kennedy Center, which now
Right.
Trump is going to take over because he's such a cultural person.
Yes.
Like a lot of cities in America now, we have gay men's choruses.
Yeah.
They sing their hearts out to all of us, and it's a great thing. There was going to be a concert at the Kennedy Center. They've been replaced with the January 6th church.
No.
Yes, with the January 6th church choirs.
Oh. For those of you,
This is what's happening in our country. It's just gross.
for those of you who may not have heard that online, the Gay Men's Chorus was going to perform at the Kennedy Center, and they've been canceled and are being replaced by the January 6th choir. So. All right. Now that I've riled you all up. So, diversity, equity, and inclusion was never meant to be political. Yes, ma'am?
May I say something?
Yes.
I think all of this is wonderful, to be reminded of all that we know, and things that we're now knowing too. I want to know what the hell we're going to do about it.
I'm getting there.
And we've got,
I'm getting there.
I've got slides at the end. We want to get to the end.
Yeah.
So we've got stuff at the end. Well, we're getting to it.
All right, but you know what? It's great to have a few hundred people show up. It's good to have 15 people show up.
Yes.
Now that's what we need to be working on.
There's a gentleman who's founded the diversity movement who does talks all the time, and everybody says, so what's with this woke stuff? And he says, ask them, do you have ramps for employees who use wheelchairs? Does a neurodivergent employee have access to tools and resources to do their job? Is your website accessible for low vision and blind customers? Do you want a broad audience to spend money on your brand? And he always gets the same answers. Of course, all these make sense. Said, then you don't have a problem with DEI. You have a problem with the way these topics have been explained to you, that it has been taken out of it's been put in the hands of politicians and activist groups. And so it's just become an us versus them, so that we can have us versus them. And it does feel like right now DEI is hopelessly tied to political rhetoric. But I think that there are stronger forces that in the long term are going to win the day. One of them that I found, and you all may already know this, is I looked at census records. I looked at the national census for 1950. The US was 90% white. There were 3 categories that they used: white, black, and other. So 90%, well, 89.5% white, 10% black, 0.5% other. 2020, 61% white. There are 7 states where there is no majority racial group, including Georgia and Nevada, and obviously we're one of them. And so to me, that means diversity is inevitable. And to me, it also means that those of us here tonight and people all across the country that are meeting in groups like this, and the young people, this isn't going to last. I mean, we're in a very dark period, but it is not going to last. So I also was thinking, what in the world can we do about this? How can we change minds? I've tried, I can start an argument with anybody who disagrees with me about this and talk all day, but it's not going to change anyone's mind. So Steve Portugal, are you here?
He's not here today.
Okay. He sent out an email to everybody on the email list about links to the indivisible site called Truth Brigade. Their tagline is, there we go. Disinformation disruption starts here. I think this would be really helpful for anyone who wants to know how to communicate with and persuasively communicate with anyone who doesn't agree with them. It has training resources, and it also has actions you can take. They have trainings. They have particular topics that they ask, say, this is how we would approach it. So they have people who are studying this, and I think it's really incredibly valuable. So if you are at all interested, just check out the website, the Truth Brigade. And I wish I knew how we could get 1 million people in every state across the country.
Look what they did in Hungary, look what they did
Yeah.
in Switzerland, look what they did in Paris.
But we have to start somewhere.
Yeah, and this is where we're starting.
We're getting there.
We have to start here. And I am going to end there. There's certainly a lot more I could say. I won't. And I'm going to send out a reference sheet tomorrow. So if anybody wants to look up any of these things, it's available on the reference sheet. So, thank you.
All right, before we go almost over, Steve brought some posters that he's printed. Do you want the microphone?
Because I can do these things, I will. Okay? So, this is a concrete action. We want parks funding restored. There was a federal court order today to restore it. That doesn't mean they're gonna do it. We're about to have a confrontation with the courts and Trump. This was the one that I thought was a positive statement. We need parks. Our parks are being threatened. So, noon on Saturday, come join us, Maury Point Road and Highway 1. I'll have bunches of these. If you need me to print something up for you that you design, let me know ahead of time.
Repeat the time?
Noon on Saturday.
Okay.
And the next Saturday probably as well, unfortunately.
In front of the Moose Lodge, or where are you?
Right on Highway 1, right at the intersection, right by the Maury Point sign.
Okay.
So if you want to email me a file that you've designed that you want printed up as a poster, I can do 24 inches wide easily on canvas. Steve@sjphoto.com. And then I'll be doing that on Saturday morning. Take concrete action. Use the resources you have. Use your neighbors. Use your friends. We have to stand up. This is an attempted destruction of the United States of America, and we need to stop it.
Thank you. All right, Lori wanted to address,
There was a question about wanting to know what protests that there were. Every week for the last, what we're doing every week is on Thursdays, we're putting a list of all the local protests that we know about. People put them in Groups IO, and then we send out a summary of all the lists. So it's, San Francisco and local. If you have something that's why we're encouraging people to join Groups IO, the Coastside United for Action, Coastside Indivisible email server that we have, so that you'll know when things are available. And then we put a summary out every week with all the links so that people can protest. And that's, one of the ways we can have our voices heard.
all right, so speaking of large protests, so we can still build momentum if we want to have a local protest on Saturday, April 5th. I think things are still being planned for something in San Francisco.
On the website, we put our, Colma is on the website, but there's also stuff on San Francisco. So if you go to the website, the Hands Off website, they'll list all the protests that are near you, and then you can sign up. And we actually encourage you to go to San Francisco, but if you can't go to the city, then you can come to Colma.
So the second thing is to target people who can make decisions at all the levels. So we had our thing about our blurb about the climate action plan. That's a perfect example. It was a citizen committee, and they've done their work, but the work is not over. That was just the plan. It still has to be approved and implemented. And so, and because we have a somewhat new city council, some of them might be more open to hearing comments from their constituents. Okay, also, take advantage of 5 calls, 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, that can be your everyday thing. It's not even 5 calls. It might be.
Doing that? How many been calling all the reps?
Yes, every day. Pick a different topic, but every day, because it's the same 2 people, basically. And what? It's an app on your phone, 5 calls. Blue with white stars in a circle. Super easy. It dials for you. You pick your topic. It dials for you because we all have the same 2 state representatives, and also if you live in Pacifica, then Sam Liccardo is our U.S. representative. So like the last thing I called on was about the cloture vote last. Oh, it's just so frustrating. Okay. Anyways, so I typically can get through to and speak to somebody. Alex Padilla's always goes straight to voicemail, but Adam Schiff, I did talk to somebody. And typically when I call Liccardo's office, I do talk to somebody. And I am now feeling brave enough that I don't necessarily go off the script. I'll just start out with, do you know how so-and-so is planning to vote? And because that's more like, our people are Democrats, and they seem to be fairly progressive. I think they're already doing, quote, the right thing. Adam Schiff came out straight ahead saying, I'm planning to vote no on the cloture vote. So it's kind of like, I just called to say thank you, right? You can do that. Now, a friend of mine that's sitting right here in this group told me a different way to call Republican districts, and I'm not going to repeat that here because kind of like what that person said. You kind of don't want to advertise that you're doing that. It's not illegal, but it's a little shady, shall we say? What?
You could send an email though.
Yeah.
You can write an email.
You can also fax.
You can also
Because if you fax, it's just a paper that's going in, and I've heard that they like weigh the amount of paper. Do you know if that's true, Paige, since you had
They
your
just keep
kids?
track of it, but it gives you a whole script of what you can say. I'm very nervous to make phone calls, so
Yeah.
I felt nervous about doing it, but it's very easy to do because I go by the script. And the first time I did it at night, so I didn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So I put a voicemail. So
Yep.
I think for anybody who's shy about talking on the phone, I would really suggest you try, especially try after hours, because you can leave a voicemail. But my kids were both congressional pages, and they do keep track. And so if you want to like call out of your district, it doesn't really count. You're supposed to say, this is my name, and this is where I live, and I'm one of your constituents, and I want you to do this and this.
Yeah.
And they do keep track.
Okay, and the final thing, it's like a little pep talk, is that every week, the Indivisible organizers, Ezra and Leah, have a Zoom Q&A, which is what's the plan, and that is like an hour,
Yeah,
and it's at noontime?
noon. And it's also
Every
available
Thursday.
on
On YouTube.
On YouTube.
Yeah. Also, Sister District, which is another organizing group, I'm the representative. Thursday night is they have a monthly call-in, so it'll be this Thursday, because, I have to have daily Zooms with somebody. But that one is also very uplifting, because there's a lot of young people in there, and I'm like the grandma in the group, but there's also older people too. Yes.
I just had a question. Have you heard about the possibility of a humongous going to Washington?
Yeah, we were talking about that.
For a certain date, is that the April 5th one?
Demonstration, all of us going.
Well, I think that's what April 5th is, meant to be the national hands-off something. Does anyone else have more information about that?
Organized for, showing up, all these groups, all these cities to,
Yeah, I mean, I did go in
to Washington.
2017 to the Women's March, the first Women's March. It was great.
It's time of the effort.
But only
Women's March is
some
doing
people
one
can do
in
that.
Washington.
Yeah.
Women's March is doing one in Washington on April 5th. I mean, somebody.
Women's marches?
Women's marches, yeah.
It's also
Oh, People's March.
People's March now.
People's March. People's March
We all
on
need-
April
Yeah,
5th.
take these little demonstrations and go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say, we're not messing around,
Yeah.
Margo.
One thing I want to encourage everybody to do is, a long time ago, I was very involved with getting non-smoking spaces. So anybody, like Time Magazine that ran cigarette ads, I would write Time Magazine, and believe it or not, I got a lot of answers back. In fact, one guy asked me to stop writing. So Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights trained everybody on how to do this, direct action. So my feeling is, don't just boycott Amazon, boycott these other organizations, but write them a letter and say, I'm never spending another dollar with your organization until you stop supporting him.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, it's boycott Amazon week. Hello? Why, a week? Like, forever, maybe, right?
I think it's important to write them as well.
Yes, to
because
say
they
why.
have no idea why the sales figures are going down. They may think people are just saving because they're scared about the economy. No, I'm not shopping with you anymore.
It's intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you gotta write letters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm having to think about, oh, I used to go to Target to get these things. Where can I get these things now? But it is possible. Kay, did you have your hand up?
Yes. Where are the protests on the 5th? And are they specifically Tesla places? And what time where?
So that's what's going to come out in the mobilize.us email.
We'll have, when we put something out Thursday, we'll have links, but you go to the hands-off site, you put in your zip code, and it'll tell you already there's Alameda, Oakland, San Francisco, Tesla, ours in Colma. There's going to be hundreds and hundreds of them across the country on April 5th. So
You don't
anyone
want
who
one here in Pacifica?
we're going to do it at Colma because we have that additional visibility in front of the Tesla shop. We've been having we had 130 people last Saturday, and so with so many people coming, we think that we want to we'll keep there because it's double. It's anti-Musk. It's not just for us. It's it's saying something about him too. If people want to, there's going to be one at noon on that Saturday, April 5th, right? So you can if you want to be in Pacifica, you can go noon and be there and have it be hands off, and you can come to Colma, and if you can't go to San Francisco.
The Como Tesla dealership there, that's a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
There's
good
a
corner.
lot of different,
there's a tremendous amount of traffic coming down 280 and with the shopping center, so we get a lot of traffic.
A lot of positive comments too.
Yeah. And to your point about going to DC, it is a great idea, but not everyone can do that. So we have our little satellite marches.
But you know what I'm saying.
I do.
April 5th goes somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
What
April
time?
5th.
Will that be?
It depends where you're at. Every place is different. So it depends. If you're going to San Francisco, I think it's, I don't remember, noon, yeah.
I'm
I think
asking
it's
about the Tesla place in Colma.
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
2 to 3. 2 to 3 every Saturday until we stop.
Including the 5th.
Yeah.
There are 3 seats. Now, this is about long-term strategy. If there is.
Yeah, you have to get it.
It's so that people on Zoom can hear you.
Okay. There are 3 seats up one in New York and 2 in Florida, which could turn the tide. That could hopefully, it could put Democrats in the majority. Thank you. And if that should happen, and then Trump is really open to impeachment because every single thing he's doing is illegal, immoral, unconstitutional, over the top. He's ignoring all the laws. We all know all this. He's a rogue dictator, and the only way to stop him, we can't keep. I just don't. I've gotten to the point where I don't believe that our little grassroots efforts are enough. Because by the time he's through, there will not be anything left to build. If he gets his way, which he is, he's going to try to destroy every single part of this country and this democracy. Now, I'm here, and I'm engaged, and I'm part of this group, and I've stood out there with my signs, and I'm going to be out there Saturday, and all the rest. And that's all I feel like I can do, and it's so frustrating. I feel like my head's going to explode. I just want to scream and say to the people in this country, where are you? Are we so comfortable that we can't get out in the street? That we can't shout and scream? Does it have to be organized like this?
Say something else. Where are the women? Women.
We're in this room, most of them.